Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jay's Fit Down podcast. I am your host, Jaden, and here today we're going to be recapping week 4 of the NFL season, 2023 NFL season. Um, was a very interesting weekend, had a few blowouts, had a few teams get some wins that we didn't expect that were going to get the wins, right? That's another thing that I was looking at, watching these games this past weekend. Yeah, a lot of teams, well, not a lot, a few teams won that probably shouldn't have, and some teams just got outright destroyed. So we'll get into that and some of the latest headlines going around the league here. But before we get started, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Check us out here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Please subscribe to the channel, like I said, and follow us on those audio platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your favorite podcast, that's where we are. So make sure you check us out there. Also follow us on all the socials: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Jay's Fit Down Pod. But yeah, well, let's begin. So first, really, I wanted to get into the Bears and Chase Claypool. Uh, hmm, I don't listen. Should, at the time, it seemed like trading for Chase Claypool was a good idea because he was coming off of, I won't say a good idea. I didn't think it was a good idea because I knew that Chase Claypool was not. His 2020 season was a great season, but it was one of those one of those fluke seasons because after that he didn't really do too much. Now then again, the Steelers offensively just weren't, uh, they weren't playing competent offense, and they haven't been playing competent offense recently, the last couple of seasons. But at the same time, Chase Claypool, he just is not. He's not a very good receiver. For one of the reasons why he's been, he hasn't been playing this much lately with the Bears. For one, his effort in week it wasn't week one. It was either week 1 or week 2, but his effort on the blocking play was just horrible. He didn't block. He just kind of stood there and even tried to get in the way of the guy. And on a run play, which in his missed block was his missed block would end up being the tackler on the running play. For the Bears offense, which is so, if you're a coach, that kills you because, like, man, that's your guy that just made the tackle that you were supposed to block on the play. He just made the tackle, and now we're behind the chains, and that's not something you ever wanted. That's not a situation you ever want to be in as a team, as an offense, so and just his effort overall in general, it's like he's been given very poor effort, and the Bears have addressed that by not playing him. He's like, hey, he's not, we're not, he's going to be healthy scratch. He was inactive. I think it was last week and this week as well, and he's going to continue to remain away from the team, and until further notice, per Matt Eberflus, the head coach. So that's just the word that's the word we got here as far as the news. But yeah, Chase Claypool, I don't expect him to be playing for the Bears anytime soon. They're actually looking to trade him reportedly for a 5th or 6th round pick. So that's that. I mean, and honestly, guys, like I really think that I don't know. I just really think Chicago is just a dumpster fire, and it's a shame that Justin Fields has had to deal with that. And he has been playing the best, but at the same time, the coaching staff and the organization has not put him in the best position to succeed. And now you're getting to a point where, you know, it, even when they were close to getting their first win of the season, they blew a lead to the Broncos, who just gave up 70 points the other week. I mean, they scored 24 unanswered points, and Justin Fields actually had a great game. He had 4 touchdowns total in the game. I mean, but he had 2 fourth-quarter turnovers. But the coaches, they didn't want to take a late field goal, and then of course in the game. So it's those type of decisions that you have to understand being being a coach. Like, it's just those little things, those late game. Well, that's not a little thing. That's like a make or break scenario for as far as whether you win the game or not. But those decisions are extremely important. They're crucial. Your coaching staff has got to be able to. They've got to be able to put their players, put their teams in the best positions to win, making the decisions. That's going to allow them to do that. And the Bears just have not been doing that for quite a while now, but particularly this year. So we will see what happens with that. So the Broncos do get their first win, coming back and beating the Bears 31-28. And then Like I said, I mentioned the Steelers earlier. The Steelers got blown out by the Texans. I mean that was really surprising. I mean, I don't know, like actually, I had Pittsburgh, being a possible playoff team this year, and they weren't. Or I mean, they weren't, but they don't aren't looking like they are. They look like they're gonna be one right now. So I'm kind of at the point where it's just like there's not the offense just does not look competent at all. They don't look. It looks very all over the place. It's not fluid. Matt Canada. I mean, a lot of Steelers fans have been calling for his head since last year, maybe before that. They want him fired, and I think it's reasonable. Because I mean, the play calling is just miserable. They all scored 6 points against the Texans team that was projected to really not do well this year. And they've been doing good in their own right. I mean, Houston, C.J. Stroud been playing really good. He's yet to throw an interception this year. He's playing really good football right now. And he meant it. He's like, hey, you know what? You know, the Houston Texans not winning at home. That's going to end with me. We're gonna win this game at home. And he meant that, and they did, and that was really cool to see that. So obviously, I think the Texans got their franchise quarterback in C.J. Stroud, which is awesome to see for him. He's a great kid, great player, and they're continuing to look really impressive so far. You're seeing Nico Collins emerge as the wide receiver one. Tank Dell, as we all knew, he would be an electric playmaker. He has done just that. He's made plays for that offense. Unfortunately, the offensive line has been injured, but they're making do with what they have now. You see that they're whether it was against the Steelers or whoever, right now they beat Jacksonville too, but it's like whoever they're playing, hey, when their offensive line gets healthy and they can keep everybody healthy and continue to just grow as a team, as a unit, as a brotherhood, it seems like the chemistry is starting to build. Not so much on the field, but also just within the locker room, within the guys. So people underestimate the importance of that. Like playing football myself for a long time. I think um, it's important that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's in coots with each other in the locker room because that's important. Because you don't have everybody on the same page and the common goal is not replicated amongst everyone, coaches, players, staff members. It's just not going to be a good season for you. So that's just my thoughts on that. But hey, Houston, Texas, man, their next game up is against my Atlanta Falcons. So hopefully they'll continue this brotherhood, continue magic next Sunday against my team. But we'll see. Like I say, Falcons right now Desmond Ritter, he's been getting a lot of hate, and he's not looking the best. But at the same time, Arthur Smith and the play calling has not been the best either. So I just don't. Football really is not that hard, and I feel like a lot of teams, a lot of coaches, a lot of players make it harder than it needs to be. Football really isn't that hard. It's very fundamental based. I mean, you would think like, hey, if we're a running team, we should run the football, do what we can do well, and then build off of that, and hit the play action, hit the short stuff, keep it, march your way down the field. If they're shutting down our running game, then well, maybe we should have better playmakers on the outside to help our quarterback out. That way, when the team shuts down our running game, we're able to pass the football efficiently. But that is not the case. So overall, like I say, it's the, a lot of teams, on Sunday look good and some look bad. The Bengals among them as well. I think Joe Burrow really rushed himself to come play because come back from playing with his calf injury because he doesn't look healthy at all to me. They got blown up by the Titans, so and now T Higgins has a rib injury that can sideline him for multiple games. So now you're potentially talking about losing your second best receiver and your quarterback struggling because he's not 100%. He's not himself. So the Bengals really got to get things together quick because they're already 4 games into the year, and they can't afford to just keep kind of doing this, losing and doing all this stuff. So I just don't understand. But yeah, I mean, it's been a very interesting season so far, like I predicted it would be. Very interesting to say the least. It has been, just looking at all these rookies. They're playing really well. A lot of them are playing. Uh, a lot of the rookies are playing right now, like very early into the year, some earlier than you expect. Some teams have they're throwing their quarterbacks out there early. You got a lot of receivers and other positions stepping up because they have to, maybe because of injuries or because they're just that good and they're playing really well. Like Puka Nakua, for example, like that dude. Listen, anybody that doesn't know Puka Nakua, he's a wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams. He is an amazing football player. This kid, he's got heart, and his story is really interesting. If you guys haven't got a chance, you should definitely check on him and his story, and check it out. It's very interesting, and he comes from a very intriguing background, and just to see him emerge as a playmaker, fifth round draft pick for the Rams this year. He's been playing really well, had multiple 100-yard games this season, and he's been a go-to guy for Matthew Stafford since Cooper Cup has been out. I really hope that when Cup comes back, that they'll continue to use Puka Nakua and allow, get him targets and stuff because is he's going to be one of their players in this league in a couple of years. Like he's going to be a top receiver in this league. I'm making that statement right now. I like what I'm seeing for him. The way he runs his routes, he's got great hands. He's physical. He's got a confidence factor to him, which is what you love to see out of your offensive playmakers. So yeah, I just want to show some love to Puka Nakua on the podcast today, guys. Puka, man, Puka Nakua. Yeah, learn that name, remember that name, because I'm telling you, you're gonna be seeing and hearing a lot more of it very soon, the next couple of years, even more than you are right now. So that's really what I want to talk about with him. But yeah, overall, like I say, it was been like I said, interesting weekend. Some teams getting back on the groove of things. The Ravens got a win as well, so they're trying to continue to get themselves back to where they were and hopefully make the playoffs. In their case, they hadn't done it in a while since 2019. Lamar Jack, or they went was it last year? They went last year. They hadn't won a playoff game since that time, since the 2019 season where Lamar was the MVP that year, and it's week 5. It's still a little early, but as we get to around week 8, then you really start to see the real teams, the contenders as they call them, separate themselves from the other teams, the pretenders in this scenario. So it's just going to be really fun to watch as these next couple weeks roll out. Like, can the Lions continue can they continue their streak? Can they continue to play really good football? Can they, can they move to 4-1 after this week, right? And that's just another thing because they play the Carolina Panthers. I think that's going to be a win for them. So can this team stay hot? Can they make a name for themselves in the NFC North, in the NFC as a whole? I mean, honestly, you got the 49ers and the Eagles who are undefeated right now. The only two undefeated teams, the two teams that were in the NFC Championship game last year, of course, right? But still, I wouldn't say they're the only teams that could make a run in the playoffs this year out the NFC. Like, I mean, legitimately, I'm not talking about like surface level like the Cowboys. No, Cowboys will not do anything. I mean, like the team like Detroit, the Lions. I'm telling you guys, the Lions could definitely make a run this year in the playoffs. I really think they could. I think they could even compete with each of those two teams. Call me crazy, but I think they could compete with Philadelphia. I think they could compete with San Francisco. Do they win? That's a different story. But they can compete. I honestly think they can. I mean, if they were to go beat the Chiefs in week 1, Travis Kelce or no Travis Kelce, still, being able to effectively move the ball up and down the field and play really good defense, right? Because they got playmakers on both sides of the ball in Detroit, and the way they play, they play very inspired, and that comes in handy late in the year, playoff time, like that extra motivational factor inside those players inside of you that comes in really handy. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But we got Seahawks and Giants tonight on Monday Night Football on ESPN. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Seahawks take this win here. I mean, this is just the Giants just right now they're still going through it, so to speak. I don't know what they're going to do. So I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks tonight on Monday Night Football getting the win. Then we got Thursday Night Football with the Commanders and the Bears. So that should be an interesting game. Uh, so it really should it should be. I mean, really, the Commanders. I mean, they've been playing well, but you know, not super well. And the Bears, you know, are the Bears. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll be an interesting Thursday night game. But for right now, like I say, got the to finish off Week 4, Seahawks, Giants, Monday Night Football on ESPN. Make sure you catch it. And we will see you guys next time on the Jay's Fifth Down Pod. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about what was discussed in today's video, as well as anything you'd like to see me talk about here on the podcast. And we will see you guys next time. Enjoy your day. And yeah, kick rocks.